And hi, good evening, everyone. It is 9:13 p.m. on the East Coast, so that means that we are live. We, the Melanated Council, are live tonight at Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and any time in between or outside of that, wherever you are at in the world. We're happy that you're here. And as always, please like, subscribe, and enjoy the show. So tonight's topic is, of course, like our month is about infrastructure, and this tonight's topic is about how infrastructure, you know, kind of affects us, especially like in a post Roe v. Wade world. And what that mean, and what we mean by that is how will traveling impact, women, people with uteruses, birthing people in order to get the health care that they need. So, as always, we like to start our episodes off on like a slightly happier note. We like to go around and ask each other how we're doing over the weekend or anything that's been happening recently. Um, I know that this is, to say something so like unhappy and then to try to, lighten it up is kind of, it could be like weird. However, I recently heard something that I felt like kind of rang true, is that joy is a form of protest. Because when yeah, because like usually like during protests and everything, you see people like, like, yeah, of course there's people angry and upset. However, there's also people showing their happiness, dancing in their joy. So I'm not saying to be joyful as in to be like stagnant, to not be um yeah, like to, like to be complacent. That's the word. Sorry. Like we're not saying that exactly. We're just saying like no matter what you try to throw at us, you can't steal our joy. So with that with that said, Toby, do you want to share what you have you been and your weekend or whatever you want to share?
Yeah. As one famous philosopher, thinker of our time said, you won't break our soul.
Mm-hmm.
Beyonce
Yeah.
knows. So,
That's true.
um,
I mean, she is the queen of the country. This is her internet we are speaking on, by the way.
apparently. um, yeah. So this weekend, it was just I gave myself some time to I definitely did a lot on the outsides, like Friday.
On the outsides.
The outsides of the weekend, like like
Oh,
yeah. I don't know if you're thinking of outside, like we outside, or
yeah, exactly. Like I was on the outsides. Like I wasn't on the inside of my home. I was on the outsides. I went on
outside.
the
No,
outsides.
that's great. I should use that though. So it was like there was this Brazilian boat cruise.
Okay.
Definitely a little bit out there for me because I don't know anything about real Brazilian culture. I'm not. I don't know Portuguese. I mean, at least I know some Spanish, but not Portuguese. Um,
Right.
I don't know any Brazilian artists. I just recognize. I think it's like this Brazilian punk. I forgot the exact name of it, but there's this very distinct beat, and I've heard it before.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of recognize that. But and then there's a performer. So there's like a band. They actually had instruments set up on the cruise. And then like around I don't know 11 something probably, the band came. And they were like darker, so I could tell that they were like Afro Brazilians. And there was a
Mm.
mix of people. There were some people who were pretty dark, like my skin ish. I mean, the hair was a little different, but and then there's people who are much lighter, like they could have looked European. So it was definitely kind of a broad range, and it was like a night thing. It was like 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. So um,
Right.
it was interesting. Hey, how's it going, Liz? It was definitely interesting. Oops. So, um, and then Saturday, I mostly stayed in, did some, errands, just like did laundry at home, just kind of tried to get myself a little more together. And I did end up going out because there was a lot of events happening Saturday. There was like a pool party in the town I used to live in Lowell. But it would have been a lot of money at the door. That one late, like 3 to 11. I didn't go. There
Oh,
was like
geez.
this other thing, like a Caribbean event at this gazebo. Some organizers who I don't know, but some friends of mine posted the event. Apparently, it was their first event since like 2019. I didn't end up going to that either. That one would have had food and stuff, which would have been cool because I was really hungry on Saturday. But it was okay. I stayed in pretty much all Saturday. There was another event like this Caribbean was called like One Caribbean World Expo or some event that was supposed to be like Caribbean American Month. June was Caribbean Heritage Month, but they've been doing events all summer, so I didn't end up going to that either. So I kind of didn't do anything. I feel like, but it was kind of good just to stay in and really get some time to myself. Feel like get some peace for myself. Um, I did end up going out to like this one like I guess bar club for this like bashment, which is like a Caribbean party. Wasn't really planning. I knew of it, but I didn't really plan to go unless I was already out. And because I was in, I was like, ugh. But I ended up meeting a friend of mine who, funny enough, is Cape Verdean, and Cape Verde has culture from Portugal. So even when we were talking, we were like, yeah, I'm surprised you went on this Brazilian cruise, yada yada. And we hadn't seen each other in some time, probably since Juneteenth, which feels like a long time ago. So me and her caught up, and then whatever. I went home, but that was really it for Saturday. Sunday, I went to a concert. Kiz Daniel, who's a Nigerian artist who recently released a song that got really popular. Um, and I knew the concert was happening. It was in Providence, which was like almost an hour and a half. So that was a little bit of a brutal. It was just like, do I want to drive this far on a Sunday at 7 p.m.? But it ended up being cool. A little annoying with some things, but just like my phone was acting up. But it was good. Had a good time. Afterwards was kind of a lot going on, more than I would have liked for a Sunday night, but ended up getting back home in one piece and kind of just been trying to adjust myself to the week again. It's not been super productive these past few days. Tomorrow, though, is going to be a pretty busy day, starting with some early meeting. Well, early, like a 2-hour meeting at 9 a.m., another meeting at noon, like a training for a course that's being offered within the company. So at least tomorrow I'll be able to kind of get myself back in the swing of things. I've been just doing like clerical stuff, updates, patches, random stuff to make sure my computer is within compliance for security stuff. Um, and then, yeah, I don't know. Everything else is just, Thursday. This will be my last thing. I went to this gazebo. Like I mentioned, there was a gazebo thing on Saturday that I didn't go to. There was this gazebo at this like Best Western Inn in Quincy, Mass, which is like right below Boston. It was so random, but like, no, that event wasn't random. It's been a weekly event that's been happening every Thursday, but it's free. And like, I was there and I was like, whoa, this is actually like pretty packed. Like, good music, a lot of Caribbean, African music, Black music. They had drinks. They had like rum punch. Cause I've been to the same DJ and organizers. I've been to their event, but inside of the hotel earlier, like February, March. And those events were like $15-20. So it was nice that they do this like weekly summer thing. And I couldn't go last year because I lived further in Lowell, and it didn't make sense to drive like 40 minutes or 45 minutes every Thursday because it's like 6 to 10 p.m. So it's like right after work. So this time, like I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna go again this Thursday and try to just take advantage of some of these things, especially the events that are like more on the free side. And still like good times and get to see good people. So that was kind of how my weekend started. That's probably why I also felt so like drained or like the rain is doing this thing again. Why does this always happen right in time for the stream? It wasn't raining at all earlier like this today. It's not loud enough. Anyway, I'm looking forward to what this week brings. I'm just trying to enjoy the now, even though I'm always like I can't wait till the next thing. but I'm trying to be a little more present. But it can be difficult. Oh, I just finished All American season 4 tonight. That was actually really big. Like literally
Okay.
an hour ago, like right before 8:30, I finished the last episode because All American has been my show, like one of my shows. Didn't expect to really like it so much because I don't really like follow football like that. But there's just a lot of good. If you haven't seen it, it's a good show. It's a
It
lot.
is.
There's
It is.
a lot of drama, but like it's I like how they did it. So
You know, it's a solid show. I don't know where I'm at. I think I'm probably still in season 3 or something like that. Um, one of the things I found kind of like eye opening, I guess, because like watching these like high school teen drama shows when you're an adult, it's kind of weird. Not weird, but it's you have like a different perspective when you're like an older adult, and you start to like really think back of when you were a teenager too. And I felt like one of the most um like unrealistic things, at least to me, was whenever like the teenage like son or daughter would say something to like their parent, and like the parent would actually like, and like the daughter or the son would like storm off and leave, and it'll leave the parent thinking like, it's like, oh my goodness, like these parents are actually considering what the child is saying. Like, I don't know if it's just from like my Caribbean upbringing or what, but it did not matter what I said. I could be saying the absolute correct thing. I could be saying 2 plus 2 equals 4, and my parents would have something to just like negate that, or like it was just mind boggling. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like that's cool that like the parent is actually considering what the child is saying, what the teenage child is saying, because like sometimes the parent is wrong and the teenage child is right. But not in a Caribbean household. Nope. Never. Um, so I don't know, like what did I do over the weekend? It's my trainer, I see him Thursdays and Fridays, and he was saying that like for this week, what the week that I'm in now is like gonna be my rest week. And I should have been like going for walks or whatever, but I didn't. I don't well, actually Saturday I went to SuperCon, which is like a nerd convention, like a comic book convention, in Miami, and it was pretty fun. I went for like a couple of hours, saw like some really cool costumes. My friend dressed as like not the Witcher, but a Witcher. Um, and I'll share. I don't know if I did, but I know I share. I'll share like a picture of some of us, like in the Discord. I bought a comic book from like this black owned or like this black creator. He doesn't do the art, however, he like gets like the art contracted out from like other like black artists. So that was pretty cool. I haven't read the comic yet, but I'm going to fairly soon. And yeah, it was pretty fun. Like I was a bit worried because I always hear that people sometimes don't wear deodorant or like are or smell really bad at these conventions, but that didn't really happen. Um, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm trying to think like what else. Sunday, I hung out with my mom. I went to go see my mom, and my brother was there too, and I haven't seen him in a while, so it was nice. Uh, yeah, that was kind of it. Yeah, yeah, that was pretty much my weekend.
yes. I love how he also said nerd convention. He's like, ah, it's just a nerd convention, but it's super
Yeah,
cool though.
like I don't know if there was anybody who was like big. I know Colleen Clinkenbeard was there. I didn't see her. She does like a lot of the voice acting for a lot of anime. Like you've definitely heard her. And yeah, so she was there. Who else? Um, I can't remember his name, but the guy who does the voice of Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, like the main character, and he does like a lot of other voices too. I didn't like see any of these people, so I wasn't like too gung ho. The last con I went to was like over 10 years ago. About it was MegaCon in Orlando, which is like a bigger like comic book convention, and that's when I actually bought my Keyblade, which is like in my closet right now. And I remember that when I went, Stan Lee was there, and I didn't go see him, and I was like, shit, I should have.
Mm,
Like,
that's tough.
I know. I was like, damn, I could have gone and seen Stan Lee, but yeah. But like the conventions are fun. Like I forgot how much fun they were because like you get to see all these people like really dressed up and like yeah, like and like sometimes the costumes are like really really good. Yeah, and that's Stanley like yeah, could have had an opportunity. I'm sure maybe like the line was long or maybe it was like a massive group of I don't know. I don't think I could have like met him. I think he was probably doing like some sort of presentation of some kind. But yeah, so that was my weekend. It was fun. I got to hang out with friends, got to see some family. Yeah.
Nice.
So, what about you, Ron?
Oh man. Um. Thankfully, my quarantine is done and over with since coming back from the Dominican Republic
Hmm.
and whatnot. So it was pretty cool. Didn't really get to do a whole lot of quote unquote traveling like I wanted to, or like we wanted to, I should say. But it was still like very beautiful. The country is very beautiful, and it's becoming another place to go. So if anybody who has their passport and is looking for another like cool, chill place to go, I would suggest head down to the Dominican Republic and just have fun. The people there are very friendly, very nice. The majority of them, they speak Spanish, but you still have some who speak Spanish and English. So it's one of those places where go for it. If you got the money, go for it. And just experience it. It's like I said, it's a beautiful place, beautiful country, and even the place where we went to go visit my grandfather-in-law. He lives kind of on the northern part of the Dominican Republic. Like his apartment, or not even the apartment, his condo, I should say. His condo, you can go to the third floor and see the ocean. Like it's just there. And even then, you know, we could walk like 30 minutes from his place to like downtown area and still manage to get to the ocean that way as well. So it's very beautiful, very beautiful. And the culture there is rich in culture. The people there, as far as driving wise go, they make Chicago's traffic look very much tame, very much tame. And for anybody who has driven through the Chicago Loop, you know what I mean. You know exactly what I mean. The driving down there is more so you literally have to keep your head on the swivel, because if you don't, you might hit somebody. Like 10 times out of 10, you're going to hit somebody one way or another. You're going to hit somebody, and they really don't care because don't they don't worry about is get from point A to point B in the fastest way possible, and you know just get there. The cool thing I will say this much is everybody drives either a scooter a mini bike, or a motorcycle.
Hmm.
Pretty much 90% of the traffic that we came across was motorcycles, scooters, or some type of motorbike that's in between. And of course, you still got your people that driving their cars and their trucks, to and fro to get from point A to point B. But the majority of the people that I've seen, yeah, it was more so motorbikes, scooters, mopeds, and it was cool to see. Very much cool to see. It was very much cool to see how people were working together to get things done and everything else. But again, like I said, coming back home to the States because we were traveling international and coming back home, we had to quarantine for a few days. Luckily, nobody has COVID. Woo, woo. But we are planning out going back out there again, just to go back and visit another part of the country, if not the same part, same place, but do a lot more travel. So looking forward to doing that. Won't be this year, but probably like sometime next year. That's the goal. And yeah, just coming back to good old Michigan. And when I was like, sure, it's great, it's nice. Got pictures to prove it. And yeah, just having fun really. And relaxing and slowly getting back to the swing of things. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And even then, like even us going into the country, they were like asking us, like, who are you gonna be with? Because we want to make sure that we keep our COVID numbers to a very minimum as much as possible, which is like a very proactive thing. So a lot of contact tracing just to make sure everybody's good and coach, everybody's good and ready to go. And even with us leaving, they pretty much asked us for the same thing. Like, okay, where have you been? What all the places have you gone to? Where are you going once you leave here? And things of that nature. So again, the contact tracing was very crucial, very, very, very crucial. And for whatever reason, I want to add this into as well because I know it goes along with our topic.
Mm-hmm.
Why in the world do we have very little people at the custom booth working when you know that we just got them having a holiday and the people are coming back home? I just thought it was like very funny because going through customs made it made Walmart's register lanes open run a whole heck of a lot faster and smoother than customs any day. Any day. For anybody who's been shopping at Walmart and you know that Walmart has like 4 or 5 registers open and maybe like a handful of the self checkout lanes open, that says a lot that we could get through faster at a line through Walmart than custom. A whole lot faster. And even then, I think there was only like maybe open, if that. And we still had like a line of folks who are slowly still trickling in from coming in off the international flights. So I'm just going to ask a question like, why? Why do we have so little people working for customs? You know.
It might be like a COVID staffing problem. I mean, I don't remember how it was before when I went through customs in 2015. Technically 2016, because we got back on New Year's Day
Mm-hmm.
from Nigeria, and that was a lot. Like leaving the country, oh no problem, get the heck out of here. And then coming back in, I'm like, why was this taking so long? Like, why do I have to go through so many panels and do all this like self like select stuff, all this information? I'm just like, can we not do this? So I don't remember how many people were there at the time, so I feel like it always takes some time, regardless. But I can imagine that now it's worse, just because there's been shortages. I'll have to send these pictures in the Discord. They were from Facebook. I got them from GroupMe, but someone sent them from a flight attendant who was basically saying like everything is just in chaos with traveling. And she was like, if you can drive under 7 hours, she highly recommends you do that versus flying. And then she mentioned all the reasons, things with the ground crew being delayed, and ground crew not delayed, like short staffed. And if they're short staffed, then everything gets delayed, or the ground crews, yes, can be delayed. One person, my roommate, when she was flying, excuse me, for her like internship thing, she mentioned that there was issues with the staff, like the pilot didn't show up for some time, and so like the pilot just wasn't there, and so the flight was delayed. So any one little thing further extends, and unfortunately, I guess this could also happen with customs. I think customs though are under the Department of Homeland Security.
Mhm.
But I'm sure that they're also moving for stuff too. Um, I don't know. Homeland Security is one of those things that I feel like DoD people are going to spend absurd amount of money on, but I don't know. I just know everyone. We're going through it in terms of everyone um, staffing wise and different like air traffic control. I think is also an issue. Um, so the customs probably also got the brunt of it.
Mm. Ooh, yeah, Chad, you may have a point there. You may have a point there.
Mm.
Point, and I'll share this a little bit too because when we got up there, of course, you had the one guy, he's directing traffic, telling people like, hey, find the shortest lane possible so you get to your flight in a more so reasonable time. Okay, cool, great. So there was a couple who was just doing some traveling and whatnot, and while they were traveling, their their passports expired. you know. And so they were like, we went ahead and ordered. They were talking to another young lady, like, yeah, we went ahead and renewed our passports, like, but we don't know if because our current passports had expired while we were gone, if they're gonna allow us to go through or not. And so they went ahead and talked to the guy, and the guy told the customs agent, like, hey, me and the missus were traveling. We, we knew that our passports were expiring. And so we went ahead and did the necessary things that we needed to do to go ahead and get them updated. However, because we didn't get them in time, is it going to delay us from coming back into the states? We're United States citizens. We got everything across the board. But a delayed TSA agent looked at the passport, scanned them. He's like, I may not be able to answer this. I'm gonna get my supervisor, and this is something that my supervisor is going to talk to you guys about. He said because technically I can't do it. Technically. So he called. He had them step aside. His boss came them up, asked them a few questions and whatnot, and then they left. Where they went, I have no idea. I have no idea. But understanding that they do have renewed passports where they're at, who knows? So hopefully they were able to get through and get onto their flight and go wherever they needed to go. Yeah, it is an unfortunate thing because a lot of people like to travel, but if you don't have that passport, you might get screwed big time. You might get screwed big time. So that's my spiel.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your experience, and
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah. I mean, overall, obviously, like very relevant to infrastructure, and I know like there was money in the infrastructure bill to shore up, like, actually, there's expansion of international. I remember for Boston, I saw an article that was saying that there was going to be money allocated um, for the Boston Logan Airport, and it's going to expand a few things. But I saw notably that they're expanding Terminal E, which is where they have their international flights, and hopefully that's going to be a trend along a lot of the corridors, like a lot of the big hubs for international flights. So that way there'll be less delays, more smooth access. That might be more physical, right? More like actual physical expansion, but hopefully that comes also more hiring and training and everything, and more equipping of technology that will make things faster or whatever. So, yeah.
No, I agree. I agree, and I think with the infrastructure, and again, speaking of infrastructure, I'm reminded going back to the DR. I think going into the DR and actually leaving the DR, that one had to be the smoothest transition ever. Smoothest transition ever. It just seemed like everything ran. I know the one issue we ran into was coming into the DR, and the thing that we needed was an e-ticket. And basically, because of the fact that we weren't residents of the Dominican Republic, they wanted to make sure, again, part of their contact tracing, they wanted to know who were we seeing, where we're going to be going, how long we're going to be there, what places we're going to stay at, how many people are we traveling with, so forth and so forth and so forth. And so one of the one of their customs agents, you know, had scanned my wife's phone, and of course it had her, me, and our three kids on it. My brother-in-law had himself, my other brother-in-law, my mother-in-law, my grandmother-in-law, and my aunt-in-law on his phone. And so as we're moving through, they already scanned their phones and we're moving as a big group. So it's 10 of us all together. There's 10 of us. We're moving as a group. And the lady was like, hey, where's your e-ticket? Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm with them. Like, you scanned her phone. She's like, yeah, like, I have my husband and our three kids and plus myself on his e-ticket. You just scanned it. And my brother-in-law was behind me. He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm on my brother's e-ticket. He has me, him, my mom, my grandma, and my aunt. We're all moving together as one big group. And so she just kind of eyeballed everybody like, are you sure? We are like, yeah, you just scanned it like no more than like 2 minutes ago. Like, we get it that you're trying to do everything decency and order. We get it that you're trying to protect your country, but you don't be like that rude to do it, you know. And honestly, we're telling you the truth. Like, you just scanned it. Like, we watched you just scan it. We just moved as a big group, as a big family. Like, we're not trying to do anything illegal. And so she looked at my wife. She's like, yeah, like, if you want to scan it again, you're more than welcome to do so. So she's like, yeah, sure. Let me go ahead and scan it again because I want to be sure. We're like, okay, do what you got to do. So of course she scanned it again and everything checked out. She's like, okay, you know, you guys are good. We're like, we know. We just want to go see my grandfather because he's waiting outside for us and you're holding up progress because there's other people behind us who
Mm.
are visiting somebody else and you're messing it up for everybody. So it's just like, come on, like work with us, work with us. But again, once we got through, everything was like running smooth. And even with us leaving, again, everything ran smooth. Probably like the smoothest process I've been in so far. Smoothest process I've been in so far. It made, sad to say this, it made the U.S. Customs look like they're stuck in second grade.
Mm.
Sorry, but not sorry because they were just like, "Oh, this is what you're doing? Okay, bye. Oh, you coming to see you? Okay, this is you? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for coming in. Have a good day. Thank you for visiting. Have a good day." I'm like, cool. Let's do this. Let's do this. But I'm in my rant.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, but I'm glad you had a good time despite the getting back into the country.
Yeah.
Right?
Coming back in is always the worst.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Right. I'm not even gonna get into to that part, but yeah, go ahead, El. Please help us, lead us, and segue us into our tonight's.
Okay. So tonight, um, we're going to be talking about how infrastructure, the infrastructure of the U.S. has really could have a detrimental impact for a post Roe v. Wade world, America, um, and how like just the fact that, and like pretty much like how we got here. So I do want to first preface how a lot of like hospitals or like women's clinics or anything, like a lot of them, like all over throughout the country, like hospitals get shut down kind of like more often than you think, especially in rural areas, which is like very detrimental to a community. And just that, or like even like if a women's clinic, gets shut down or something, like even that can have like a detrimental impact like on a community, but also can truly like affect the health of anyone with like with a with like a birthing person, like a soon to be mom or anything. And so yeah, sorry, I'm just really fucking tired.
We got this.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think like how to even like word this. I believe in the Discord chat I shared my sister's interview with was it with NPR? I think so. Like my sister, she is she's an associate professor at Harvard's medical school, and she's kind of an expert in this exact topic about mother the mortality rate of mothers, especially people of color, like Black people and people of color. So I can share the interview again, but I remember like they were essentially saying how, like, let's say a mother, I guess rather more so like a grandmother in like one zip code, if there was a hospital there was like a higher chance of a better success with like a less mortality rate, a better chance of like the child being born and no complications in the pregnancy. And once that hospital went away, was taken down, and like that same like that like now like a new mother would have like a harder time. I don't know how to fucking word this. I think I'm just gonna word it as best as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I pretty much like explained it, like essentially like a mother will have like a more difficult time. They'll have more like pregnancy complications. That's the freaking sorry.
No, you're good. You're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so like they'll most likely have like more complications during pregnancy, and that will just drive up the mortality rate by a lot, unfortunately. And we live in a society where when the woman is about to give birth, we kind of have to rush them to the hospital. So you gotta, unless like you have a like a doula, which is a fantastic like that's someone fantastic to definitely have in like in your circle, like in your especially if you're pregnant, especially if you're like a Black woman or a woman of color, for sure. However, if you're having to get into a car, drive to a hospital just to give birth, like you have to bypass traffic. Even before you have to have a car. B, like, gotta know where the hospital is. Like, if like the nearest hospital gets shut down, then you'll have like a higher chance of like of course like fucking complications, because if the woman's giving birth in the car and you don't know what to do, then there's going to be like more complications and all that. So I guess the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because like especially like abortion, is like some like totally banned in some parts of the country. If a woman is having an issue, anyone with a uterus, a birthing person's having an issue, like just how far they're gonna have to drive in order to get the healthcare that they need. Because like realistically, like, people are saying like, oh, they could just hop on a plane and go. It's like, I mean, planes cost money, to buy a ticket.
Mhm.
And there's like also the factor of being able to come back home. Like, would you be coming home a felon? Would you risk, going back home? Like, I don't. It's a scary thought. Yeah. No, that's another proper terminology. I literally okay, whatever. I know it's new, but it's like I was actually just listening to an interview from like somebody from like a professor at Berkeley, and like she used that same term too. It was like birthing person. It's like that's I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with it personally. That makes sense to me. It's a person who's giving birth. Um, but also like due to just like the landscape of this country, it just doesn't make any sense if like if two people do an act like let's say a man and a woman have sex and the woman gets pregnant, and if she were to go through with an abortion, there's a chance that she can become a felon. If she gets like or like even like the doctor can also become a felon. However, nothing will happen to the man at all. So in all 50 states, the man can do the exact same act of having sex in all 50 states and no repercussions to him. However, there'll be repercussions to the woman, which makes no sense.
Yeah, that's very uneven. And I didn't even know for sure if it was a woman who, like, because I always remember hearing doctors are the ones who are really getting penalized. Doctors are the ones going to jail. And I'm actually like, that's very concerning. Like, if there are really repercussions for the women. Because that's like, I thought that was the step that even most of the really gung ho anti Roe v. Wade or actually anti-abortion people wanted. I thought that that's something that even they were like, okay, we're not trying to criminalize women for having for getting the procedure. So that's actually kind of crazy. If that's like really what a lot of these laws are saying, and like these trigger laws or these whatever new laws even that are being written. I have to look more into it. Like that is like really crazy because I know there's a lot of issues. There were some issues where I guess even doctors from outer state were like, "Oh, can we even perform these?" Like in Massachusetts, in whatever state, would we be able to perform abortions, or would we like lose our license?
Yeah.
But that's crazy that it's like, oh no, it's not just the doctors, it's the women too. That's a lot. Sorry, I'm just getting my cord because everything is dying right now. My computer and my phone. Well, my phone already got plugged in. My computer got plugged in. My phone just plugged in. Okay. So, Lord knows. God bless. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's guidance on that from anyone within the party, anyone who cares enough. I know there was an executive order that was essentially trying to reaffirm what they already wanted to like say about the Department of probably Health, Human Services, or whatever that department. But I'm not sure if I've seen guidance on this legal stuff about like what about doctors who are trying to perform in other states? Are we going to try to have legal aid for women who want the procedure out of the state if it turns out they are being prosecuted? So it's a lot of uncertainty, right? So that's part of the point too, is that people will be dissuaded because they're not going to know what is valid or like what what's legal and what's not. Yeah, so I think that's a big thing too, is the dissuasion and trying to make that ambiguity there. And then, of course, like a big thing, like you mentioned, L2 is like planes cost money, but also so do legal services. So if you're already poor and you're already sort of the more downtrodden in society, one, you're gonna have less access for all of this anyway, right? Because it's basically just like rich people can go ahead and still get their abortions as planned, just more inconveniently. But for poor people, working class, whatever, like you're really screwed. And then if you want to deal with legal challenges, then you really, really are doubly screwed. Yeah, I've seen this a lot. I've seen this on both sides. I remember when the vaccines were first becoming under criticism, like before it became more mainstream to be anti-vax, when it was just kind of the beginning, you had a few like outliers. I remember a lot of Dems pounced on that, like when some of those people who didn't want the vaccines were like, my body, my choice, a lot of Dems were like, oh, so how do you feel then about abortion? But then it kind of flipped on the other side where there was a much more strong pro-vax. I mean, I took the vax. I'm not just somehow railing against the vaccine. But I know there was like a lot of there was kind of a lot of like shaming too, where it's like, you don't have the vaccine or you don't, whatever. But then, you also say my body, my choice for abortion. And then it became, well, where does bodily autonomy and medical privacy start and end? And I know it's not like, it's can be very controversial to talk about because a lot of people really wanted to see vaccination rates go up. And I mean, of course, I wanted to see things go up too. But then it's like, can you kind of champion both? Is that too broad of a stroke to say you're a hypocrite if you claim my body, my choice for one and not the other? But I mean, I feel like I'm glad that you were fair how you said that T4Y. Like, I think that's fair to at least say it on both sides versus like just saying like, oh, the Dems are hypocrites for this. But it's like you can kind of say both sides. Yes, Liz.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is definitely an attack on poor and the poor minorities. I guess like the only thing I have to say like against the whole like my body, my choice thing is that I don't know, getting pregnant has never been something that happens like airborne, so it's a little bit different. You're never just like in a group of people just standing around drinking and talking and then it's like, oops, I got pregnant. Like, no, it's like, not quite. And also like pregnancies has been happening since like the dawn of time. COVID-19 started in 2019. So like this was still in retrospect a very new virus. So like even though there are similar viruses, like just regular coronavirus, which can be like a common cold and everything, and also the original SARS, it's not quite this. I understand like the whole my body, my choice, like hypocrisy. Like I get that. It's just, I mean, if you can't tell the difference, I don't know. Like to me, I don't know. Like if someone wants to explain to me like how these are exactly the same, then please do. I can understand like the chanting being like exactly the same, but the reasons behind the chanting, like please tell me the difference. Pregnancy.
Yeah. No, I think that's a valid point.
I mean, I get like
there are very different issues, definitely different scale, different timeline. Like you said, pregnancy since the dawn of time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but still, I'll say that.
Oh no, I was just saying maybe it gets into a broader thing about not just COVID vax, but other people who've been speaking about vaccines, or I don't know what else you could make more extrapolations to that go even further back than this pandemic. Previous pandemics, maybe, I don't know. But like public health is also, of course, very different than just sort of this very private decision. But go ahead with what you were saying.
I was actually going to pretty much say what T4Y podcast said, but like that's what I can understand about like the right for like autonomy, like like we should have the right to choose, and especially like with what we do with our own bodies. And absolutely, we need less government control over our day-to-day lives, considering that they're also thinking about rolling back like gay marriage and shit like that. It's like that's and like leaving it up to the states. It make I understand why we need like state government. Like, for example, like Florida has like, we have our own Supreme Court and like we have, like our laws regarding like the beaches and everything. Like we're not going to have, like Kansas isn't going to have laws about the beaches when they have none. So like I can get that. Like they're not going to mind like, like Arizona is not going to talk about swampland and what to do with the swamplands when they're, like an arid desert. So like I can understand that in terms of like why we need certain things. However, there should be like laws that doesn't is not like should be just for all 50 states. Like hence why, I feel as though like if some states have recreational marijuana legalized, then you might as well just decriminalize it everywhere. I'd prefer if it was like recreational everywhere. I think that makes the most sense because we all know it's not a matter of if, it's when. Like it makes zero sense if I can go to an ATM in Florida, take out $50, go on a plane to Colorado, use that same $50 and buy marijuana with it. Like it makes zero sense. So like I feel like there's definitely certain things like that should just be across the board, and I feel as though Roe v. Wade should definitely be one of those, because like to leave it up to the states where it's like, oh, some states say, after 6 weeks, like you can't have an abortion after 6 weeks. Other states say you can't have an abortion after 15 weeks. Other states, it's like that makes no sense. Like, why is certain states say like, oh, this is when we consider life to start? This other states say, oh, this is when we consider life to start. It's like that makes zero sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like it should be. Are they gonna versus we? No, like it should definitely just be like what it was before for the past fucking 50 years. You should have the right to an abortion. I think it was like, of course, like each state kind of had like their own sort of like thing around it, but I think one thing I find to be so strange is how they need like 2 doctors to sign off on if a woman should get an abortion.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like in certain cases for sure. That's, I mean, yeah, I think it's usually after like a certain amount of weeks. However, I feel like, now that it's post Roe, I'm sure it's like different in all these other fucking states. But I've been reading that a lot, how they need like 2 doctors to sign off. And especially if it's after like a certain amount of weeks, and also if it's going to be harmful to the mother, which is good, because like that's for some cases, and I'll get to that in a second, because like it's a because pregnancy isn't like a health neutral state. It could be it's a very like it can be a very high risk health state, as like we all know. And a lot of people, I think like when you get pregnant and you carry you like everything's just honky dory, and you carry it to terms like, nope. It's like it doesn't like not as often as you think. Like
Mm.
miscarriages are very common,
Yeah.
and sometimes like even if like you have a miscarriage like within like the first trimester, which is like the most common time to have a miscarriage, you still need to oftentimes go to the doctor to get like as sad as this sounds, like the remains out. Like the placenta, still some of the fetus is like it's yeah, to get the remains out, and like sometimes in certain places that's they don't even do that. Like that's like it have to still be up to like the woman to just like wait until it passes naturally, which is incredibly like
Stupid.
I don't. Sorry, what?
I'm gonna say stupid.
Yeah, mentally scarring. Like,
I'm going to say stupid because from your point, El, what you're saying, like I've been there, and it is a very it's a very tragic thing to happen, you
Mm.
know. And so luckily for me, being in the position that I was in, because my wife, she was unconscious at the time, she couldn't make that decision for her because she was, it was like, you know, what do you want us to do? Because she's not able to make the decision because you are her spouse. You're gonna have to make that call for her. It's like, do what you gotta do, Doc. At the end of the day, you do what you gotta do. It's already bad enough I lost a son. For me to lose my wife at the same time, like I don't know how I'm gonna take it. I don't know how I would take it. I don't. And then again, with everything going on, that's basically going to be the scenario for
right,
for most couples. For most couples, not saying all of it's going to happen like this, but for most couples, that's going to be the scenario now. And it's like, okay, what do you want to do? Do because your spouse, i.e., your wife, is about to give birth, but at the same time, because of the fact the complications of her birth, you know, if she keeps the baby, chances are she may die right along with the baby. Or if you want to save your spouse, so it's like you're gonna have to make that call. And even then, that's only if the woman herself, if she's not able to make that decision because of whatever else is going on. Maybe she's unconscious and they're trying to get her up, wake her up, and she's not. You know,
yeah,
it would be a very hefty decision, a very hefty weight, because now it's like, okay, it's underneath that extreme medical circumstances, whereas like you're gonna have to put the value of the life of the mom because of the fact if you don't, you're gonna lose two for one. You're gonna
Mm.
get that 2-1 special in a heartbeat. And for most people, that's a very hard pill to swallow, no matter how much drink you're going to have to wash it down. No, it's not. And it's like, yes,
Mm.
yes,
mm-hmm.
Jeez.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
not
we
to,
all know what an ectopic pregnancy is, right?
yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I,
when the fetus starts to grow outside of the womb, mainly in like the fallopian tube.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. That
I had
happened.
a cousin who went through that before they actually before they had another pregnancy where they actually gave birth to their first or second child. That's the first time I heard of it, probably when I was in like eighth grade or something, or early high school. So that time, never thought much about. Actually, that's interesting that they had that procedure, and I guess I don't know if the abortion literally is the only way that you essentially
Yeah,
fix
yeah.
that.
That's the only way.
Yeah, it is. It happened to my cousin. She she has three, but um, I think either between her first and second pregnancy or her second and third pregnancy. In between those two, she would have these ectopic pregnancies. And the one issue, the runoff issue she had, if she didn't get that abortion, chances were that um, what would end up happening was the fetus was going to die, but not only would the fetus die, but it would have caused, on an extreme end, to develop cancerous like tissue within the fallopian tubes. And if she didn't get that abortion, she wasn't going to have any more kids, no matter what. She wasn't going to have them. And she was like, holy crap, like, let's go ahead and let's get this done. Because I would at least like to try to have more kids. But at
Right.
the same time, I don't want to be sterilized because of the fact that medically there could have been something that done to prevent it. So, of course, she went ahead and she got it done. And like I said, she has three kids, and that's it. She's pretty much burned, tied, laid to the side. So she's like, I'm done. I don't want no more kids. I'm done. I have my kids. I'm good. I'm great. But at the same time, if what happened to her back then were to happen now, hmm, probably would have been a different scenario.
Uh,
Different scenario. Even every so often, I know my wife, she still has like every so often, she she does develop cysts,
okay.
and if she doesn't get them caught right away, it can be very detrimental. And
Hmm.
so, of course, she has to get that checked out and make sure everything is good and kosher and everything else. But at the same time, she's like, I wish they could just go ahead and take everything out because I don't need it. I have no need for it. Just take everything out. Take the fallopian, take it all out. Donate it to science, whatever the case may be. Just get it out of me. Get out because I don't plan on having any more kids. I don't want to have any more kids. And yeah, we're good. We are happy. We are satisfied with our three. And if we ever decide to adopt, cool, great, we'll do that. But if we're going to adopt, more than likely, it's going to be like, the furry four-legged animals that we call dogs. We would do that. However, we do understand that there are kids who get put in the system and they get with some terrible people, and like if we can curve that by any way possible, okay, let's do it. Let's give them something better than what they're already getting at that point in time.
Okay. I mean, I do know that if she were to get everything out, then like that would cause she would go into menopause. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we discussed it. We discussed it, and it's funny you brought that up too, El, because her mom were talking at one point in time, and she was saying that her family, the women in her side of the family, they typically get menopause or start menopause like around the somewhere in their mid 30s,
Really? Wow.
mid
Wow.
30s, early 40s, that time range. And I found it funny, like, oh, for real? She's like, yeah. She's like, my mom, she started around about late 30s, early 40s. My grandmother, roughly around about the same time frame. And even like her aunts and uncles, again, around about that same, not her uncles, her aunts. Sorry, her aunts.
Might have been an uncle. I'm kidding.
You never know. Now, as of right now, you never know. You
Right.
never know. But that mid 30, early 40s time range, that's when a lot of the women started getting menopause or starting menopause. And it was like, and she, even her mom told me, she's like, she said, be cautious because You know, there's been a history of the women in our family. They tend to start menopause a little bit more earlier than the average woman. So if she starts acting weird, if she starts
Oh
doing
my
things the normal, hot flashes and whatnot, you might want to run and hide like bet.
God.
Say no more. I will make sure. Yeah, I will
Yeah.
make sure that.
That
Yeah.
is that is fascinating. I have never heard that. Wow.
Oh, oh yeah. And it's funny because you would think like somewhere in that 40 time range that's when most women start menopause. For her family, nope, it's a little bit. It's earlier than that. So that mid late 30s, early 40s, that time range. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I won't lie, like, I see, like, the benefits of just having menopause early because, like, then you get over that hump earlier because, like, it kinda sucks being a woman. I mean, in several fucking ways it sucks being a woman, but in the menopause way, it's like, "Oh, I have, like, this shitty thing to look forward to when I hit, like, I don't know, like, 55." Or something, like because, um yeah, because like, I mean, I know I'm, like, putting my mom's, like, shit out there. I mean, she's, like, the only person I know who's, like, gone through menopause, but I'm, like I think she was, like, in her, like, late 50s or so, but, like, she was hearing that 'cause, 'cause I'm the youngest, like, she had me when she was 36.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was still, like, living, with her when I was, like when she was in her 50s, and I think she started menopause when I left. So, apparently, like, if there's, like, a girl in the house who still, gets their period, then they, like, menopause is later. I don't know how true that is. That could just be like a old wives' tale of something, but so if I'm gonna like, if I have, like, another, like, 25 years until I get menopause, like, that's just, like, a shitty thing to look forward to. It's like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
great, I'm gonna to, because like, it's like a sign of, like, getting old. It's a sign of, like, "Oh, okay, I can no longer have children." Even though, like, I don't think I want kids, it's just, like, the whole, "Oh, I really can't now," kinda thing. Like, it's still, it's still sad. And then you just go through, like, hot flashes and a whole bunch of, like, hormonal bullshit, even though, like, we go through hormonal bullshit, like, once a month. It just seems like menopause is, like, when your shitty roommate's about to move out, so now they're just acting extra shitty. I was like, "That's menopause."
Jeez.
Sounds
Like,
about
you've never
accurate.
50s when I started going through menopause. Yeah. I've heard of, like, late 40s and 50s. I've never heard 30s or early 40s.
I'll give you guys context. I'll give you guys context. The the women on my wife's side of the family, they look younger than what they actually are. They look a whole lot younger than what they actually are. And even with my grandmother-in-law, even with her stroke, you wouldn't think she's pushing 70. If you looked at her, you wouldn't think she's pushing 70. You would think she would still be in her 50, like late 50s, going into the early 60s. She looks that young.
Mm,
Even her sister, mind you, even her sister, the person who we went to the Dominican Republic with, she doesn't even look her age at all. And from what I gather, she's the baby out the bunch. She doesn't look her age at
mm,
all. And so her mom doesn't look her age, even though she's in her 50s age range. She still looks like she's about 40, 45. You know, and it's like
No, I agree because I was thinking how like you look young, Ron, and then people like confuse you as like a high school student.
yes, yes, yes. It never fails. It never fails. Like to me, yeah, that
Yeah,
one there.
I don't hear much about, yeah, I don't hear negativity about menopause too much anymore. I hear that like different countries, like women in different countries experience menopause differently, which is interesting.
Hmm.
But yeah, but go on, Ron, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. And so, like again, the women in her family, they look a lot younger than what they actually are, and so a
Mm.
lot of times they tend to develop younger than what they are. Even then, like my daughter,
Oh,
she she's 10. She's 10. Mind you, she's 10. But the way how she's developed, you would think she's like seventh, eighth grade, getting ready to go into high school. It is like, no, she's just made it out of the fifth grade. Just made it out the fifth grade. She's going into the the sixth grade. In comparison, my neighbor, her daughter is a sophomore as of right now. Daughter's a sophomore. My daughter looks more so like her daughter, plain as day. Like if you put them two side by side, my daughter is taller than her, probably about as developed as her, but she's only going into the sixth grade. It is wild.
wow.
It's wild. But even then, a lot of the girls in my daughter's class, that's what they're built. That's what they're pretty much built. Like they're built as though they could be late middle schoolers going into high school, when all in essence, they're just now going into middle school. Just now going into middle school. And I think back when I was in middle school, a lot of the girls, even in my seventh, eighth grade class, if you didn't know any better, you would have thought that they were high schoolers. If you put them in plain clothes and they started to come to school, you would have think they were middle schoolers. Like no, or no, not middle schoolers. They were high schoolers, but no, they were middle schoolers. They were just very developed, very developed. You know, and even with this generation, a lot of the kids now, they're very developed, and it's a scary thing
Hmm.
to think of. Yeah, to think about what they're getting ready to go through from this point moving forward. And so it's just going to be a very rough and a very dark time. And we'll
Very.
see we'll see how it's going on. However, there is still some light at the end of the tunnel. There's a hospital group here in Michigan, very big, very popular hospital group. And once they realized and heard and got the news that um, yes, Liz, true. Go ahead, yeah, yes, Liz, true, 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 true. The hospital group said this with the Supreme Court basically overturning decades of a precedent. What they are going to do is talk to their lawyers, specifically their lawyers, and using the law, going to see what they can do legally now to help women, especially those that are what was the term that they use? Those women who are pretty much at a higher risk legally, what they can do to help those women that are at a higher risk to still be able to get an abortion, no matter what's going on. And so I found that to be like a huge win. On top of what Dick's Sporting Goods, what they said, especially when it came to their women employees, that what they were going to do is if any one of their employees were going or experiencing a a situation where they were going to need to get an abortion, that they would actually pay for them to go to whatever state that still has legalized abortions and pay for them to go and make it less of a burden because they realize that at the end of the day that that woman and or man, if he is a man, we'll get to that later, to be able to make this decision and go through with it without having to worry about how they're going to pay for it, without worrying about the traveling
Mhm.
and what it's going to look like, and basically have a lot of things solved. And the only thing they have to do is just get there, and I found that like very, very powerful and impactful because it's like, okay, if we're going to leave abortion, abortions and how each state handles abortions, knowing that the majority of the states within the United States are heavily conservative in some aspects, meaning that either the state senate and or state house of representatives and or the governor is very conservative in their approach to laws, they're going to minimize any chances of anybody getting an abortion. However, those states that are very liberal, who are wanting and fighting to preserve that right legally, is going to basically help other companies like, okay, we know that our women employees, they're basically helping us to run this company. Let's help them out and find those places that can cater to them. And if they have to travel from this state to another state in order for that to get done, then what we're going to do is we're going to help offset that cost one way or another. And so now, again, this is less of a burden. But like I was saying before, because of the fact now the Supreme Court says it's up to the states to decide, we have these conservative states that are within positions of power that they're going to do everything possible to make sure it doesn't happen, all while at the same time they themselves are still going to be able to do the same thing without getting caught, unless unless the doctors go ahead and basically call them out of their bluff and put their news on Front Street, you know, cool. That'd be perfect. That'd be great. But again, it's the time that we're living in is allowing the states to decide. It's not going to be a good one. It's really not going to be a good one. Not a good one at all.
Mm. No, because the fact that these groups have to be formed, and these lawyers have to, I guess, like essentially lawyer up, and you know, it it's just like It's just like such a massive waste of time. Like it's such an unnecessary massive waste of time.
Agreed.
And yeah, like just like thinking about like the travel expenses and everything. It's like, oh, we'll pay for that. And it's like that shouldn't have even have happened. It's like, why the fuck are we going backwards? Why the fuck are we doing this? Like we know
Mm,
why, but it's like such a stupid reason with like so many fucking ramifications. It's like
yes.
home and be at the mercy of their states. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, agreed. 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 And it sucks because I think Elle, you mentioned this numerous of times that the conservative do a better job at marketing and advertising and getting stuff out there in the open better than their liberal counterparts. It's sickening but effective. Very sickening but effective.
Mm-hmm.
Key point. The area that I live in is very conservative. The county is very conservative. Hey, what's going on, Mish? What is going on? And so the area I live in is very conservative. I think within the last couple of days since we've been home, and then of course with us being gone and we're getting our mail and everything else, I've probably gotten more conservative information than liberal information combined. Combined.
Okay.
And I haven't seen anything come to my bell box that was from a very liberal perspective. I have not. And
I have a feeling where this is going.
it sucks because the city, I'll put this up there. The city of Three Rivers is one of those rural cities, but at the same time they have a bunch of money. And so yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like for the most part, it's conservative, but you can tell that they still have a very liberal approach of doing things. Henceforth, we do have like three marijuana shops that's within like a mile radius of each other. Again, very liberal idea, but still conservative in some aspects. And so because of the fact that Three Rivers does have a lot of money and whatnot, they still do things very much conservatively. But
Gotcha.
at the same time, a lot of the citizens themselves are more so independent and or liberal. And so it's like, how can we harness that to combat those people that are in positions of power who have been there for years,
Mm-hmm.
multiple years. And I know if you guys heard me say this, I know anybody else who've been watching us for the last past 2 years, you've heard me say this before. A lot of times, these conservative positions tend to run unopposed. Very
Yeah.
much so. About 90% of the time, they run unopposed. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was thinking as I was running around today, I'm like, man, how bad does the Democratic Party suck at marketing, at advertising, at getting information out, to know that you have people who would like to run, who will want the opportunity to run, but because of the fact the Democrats don't find it as a viable win for them, it's like, who cares? Who cares? You see what's going on. You knew what's going on. You know what's going on, but you've done nothing within the time span of you being in office to help protect, to help safeguard, to do anything. The only thing you must are worried about is staying in power. It's like, what about the people who put you there in the first place?
Right,
You
exactly.
know, what about the people who's been making phone calls after phone calls after phone calls and let you know, hey, this is what we need you to do. Basic in the sense, do your job. Your opponent, as of right now, is outperforming you by leaps and bounds, and you're still stuck on your soapbox. Like, no, your opponent went past the soapbox and is actually doing the things you should be doing as of right now. So right now, you're basically too little, too late. And I don't think I could actually vote for you. And it sucks.
Hmm.
So your opponent, I don't like, but they're producing results.
Right, yeah.
You can argue with that. They're
Hmm.
producing results. You're not. And again, how does this whole grand scheme of things lead into tonight's topic? I'm glad you asked, ladies and gentlemen, because of the fact that with infrastructure, we're not just talking about locally, we're more so going interstate. Now we're talking interstate. We're talking about going from one state to another state and how those laws are going to be different from state to state. And especially now that we're living in a post Roe v. Wade America, like, it's going to suck with, again, the state of Michigan is being projected to possibly having one of the strictest abortion laws within the nation, due to the fact that the Senate and the House of Representatives, more than likely with this election cycle, is going to go very much conservative.
Really?
Very, oh yeah, it's
Oh,
going to
shit.
be very much conservative. Very much conservative. I mean, even the state Supreme Court, it's balanced out a little bit, where it's like, it's liberal and conservative, kind of like almost split evenly. I think it's like maybe like 101 on one side. So like it's like one more Supreme Court justice versus the one more conservative Supreme Court justice over the liberals, or one liberal Supreme Court justice over conservatives. But again, it's like very much evenly split as of right now, which could change at a point, at any point in time. It could change. But as of right now, again, with Governor Whitmer being very much headstrong, like, doing everything within her power to make sure that the 1931 Michigan law for abortion does not come into play. She's doing everything within her power to make sure that does not happen. And even I myself read it. Holy crap. That joint is nothing nice. It's
Mhm.
nothing. You talking about jail time out the wazoo, and even then, I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. And I'll say this and I'll be done. I'll say this and I'll be done. And the reason why the 1931 anti-abortion bill is very crucial, especially for the state of Michigan, is due to the fact that it's going to overturn a lot of things that's been precedent already in the state of Michigan. And with the way how things are playing out, if the if the Senate, House of Representatives, state, I'm talking about state house now. If the state Senate, the state House of Representatives, and the state Supreme Court, if they all swing conservative, and it's just Whitmer at the helm holding things down as governor, we're going to have a very sticky time in Michigan. A
Mm-hmm.
very sticky time in Michigan. And even then, it's like it sucks because again, the Democrats suck at marketing, at advertising, at vocalizing what it is they can do to help out. They're just terrible at it. They're just terrible at it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like what
and
Chad
even
said
then,
though.
huh?
I like
Let's
what
see.
Chad said though.
Mm.
Like voting is the shield, organizing is the sword. If you just want to stop the conservative onslaught, vote Dem. If you want to change the law, get those knuckles on those doors. They got to be pushed.
Mm. That's
I
actually
would
good.
agree to that statement. I would agree to a certain extent. I would agree. And the reason why I would kind of push back against that is, listen, what's this, 2022?
Mm-hmm.
It's about 3 years ago. True story. True story. 3 years ago, I was got introduced to the Amy East to Amy East. She was running for the 59th district for the state of Michigan. So she was running for the seat that Steve Carra has. Terrible person, but anyways, running for that seat. And the St. Joseph County Democratic chair talked to the state Democrats. So the bigwigs that pretty much help organize for a lot of the Democratic races, Democratic candidates, so forth and so forth. Talked to them, told them, hey, we have people who are wanting to run. We have people who want to make a change. The only thing that they're missing is one, your endorsement, two, your money, and three, your support. What do they need to do to get those three to be able to run a very successful campaign? State now, state Dems. State Dems came back and told her this because of the fact that your candidate does not live in a very viable county or a very viable district, she will not get our support. She will not get our endorsements, nor will she not get our funding. She won't get it because we don't want to pump a bunch of money into that area just to lose. This is the state Democrats we're talking about. This
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
the state Democrats for the state of Michigan that we're talking about. The majority of the races that could have been won by, like, we'll call it 5,000 votes. Okay, 5,000.
Okay.
That's how much she lost to Steve Carra, our current state representative, by 5,000 votes.
That's not a
That,
lot.
that's not a lot.
Mm.
That's not a lot. Between me and her, we knocked on half of the doors within our district between me and her. We knocked on about half. She's been invited to at least five different conservative engagements to talk and to speak to other conservatives to sway for their votes. Okay. She's she's set up and organized her own engagements for other people who are either independent and or democratic to come out and hear what she has to say. But because of the fact that she was relying on grassroots donors who wasn't really making a whole lot to help her fund her campaign. And because of the fact that the last resort was going to talk to very conservative people to ask to fund for her campaign, we've gotten more no's than yeses. More no's than yeses. Mind you, we've done the door knocking, we've done the flyers, we've done everything that we were supposed to be doing. Everything we supposed to be doing, and still lost by 5,000. We showed that to the state Dems and told them this. You realize that by you not helping us, we managed to lose by 5,000 votes. 5,000 votes. Her herself had more votes than any Democratic candidate who ran for the same seat ever.
Mm.
The same one that we've been lobbying to you for years after years after years, and you said no. We have the proof. We have the proof in the pudding. She only lost by 5,000 votes. That's not a lot.
Mm.
When we asked if you can help us, we knew we could win. We knew we could win. We knew we could win. And we knew that she would have been good. She would have been good. With your help, we could have had a very different
Yeah,
um
that's heartbreaking.
yeah.
No, that's really fucking heartbreaking. And it's true. I remember AOC essentially said like the same thing. Uh, yeah, no, DeSantis only won by 30,000 votes.
Yeah.
And the county that I'm in, the most liberal county in the state, Broward, there were 100,000 registered Democrats that did not vote. So if half of them came out, we would have had like the first black governor of the state. And he was hella left leaning, hella progressive. He believed in like a 15-hour minimum wage. He believed in like recreational marijuana legalization, if I'm not mistaken. He was just fucking awesome. And yeah, it's just if only, and that's just one county I'm talking about. We have 67 of them. Yeah, I think it's 67. So if like, I don't know, like 1,000 from each county came out, or like maybe 10,000. I don't know. I don't know how to do math right now, but still, like that he won by less than 1%, and he's acting as if, and he's doing all this bullshit. That's another thing that pisses me the fuck off. I mean, I know that Andrew Gillum did get like a lot of support from, I guess, Democrats. I assume but like, yeah, no, he like it could have been just a totally different landscape. Yeah, like,
Hmm. Hmm.
but it's just so tragic. And I know that people will be like, oh well, he was found passed out in the hotel in Miami with like with like a gay escort, and like there was meth. There was no meth found in his system, by the way, but that doesn't matter. He was passed out drunk, naked. So that was like, oh, that's lovely. And I think something else is going on with him right now too. There's like some other like weird scandal. But I don't know. I still would have rather had him though.
Hmm.
So I'll go up with risk reversal. Yeah, it's true. They say that the average age of I think like a Democrat in Congress is 71, while the average age of a Republican is 55. And that makes a lot
Hmm.
of sense because like who are our young folk? Like we have like the squad, and then that's it. Oh, then we have Corey Bush. I don't know if she's part of the squad.
Yeah, she's like the extended squad. I think there are some other young ones who are more moderate. Actually, from Michigan, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember if her name was Laura Underwood. Is it Laura Underwood? There's like this black female rep. Um, is her name Underwood? Lauren Underwood. Um, Let me see where she is. She's in wrong state. She went to University of Michigan. She reps the Illinois. The Illinois. Okay. She's in Illinois' 14th district, but so I mean, she's like 35. I think she was, I don't know if she was the youngest black woman representative, but she didn't get that much coverage.
Hmm.
She had a very close reelection margin of 1.34%. We'll see what happens this year.
Mm-hmm.
um, so I mean, there are some like other young representatives. Oh, well, we have the great um, very professional and well representing Madison Cawthorn. Just doing a superb job. Youngest rep in Congress. I don't remember though if there was someone else who now replaced him as the youngest again. Maybe some. I think someone who won the primary, but um, I don't know. You good?
Get
Sir?
the fuck out, Liz. Get the fuck out.
He's been around longer than the. Are you serious?
The chocolate chip cookie?
Ooh,
Get
I
the
think I know
fuck
one of
out.
them. I think I may know one of them.
Like the oldest
Been
senator.
around longer than sliced bread. Are you kidding me?
Longer than
Ah,
get the, that one has to be a joke. But I don't know when
well,
the sliced bread came out though, so I don't know. I feel I feel like it
well, I
couldn't be in the
know.
1900s.
Let's see if Liz. I know of Gary Peters. I know of um, Debbie Stabenow. Those two I know of for sure that are like senators from Michigan that for the U.S. for the U.S. and I know those two. Um, I know I'm missing like four more that are like older than Dilly Flat. I know Fred Upton. Upton. He's I think he's a house. I think he's in the House of Representatives, and he's been there for God knows how long. God knows how long he's been in there. But he's been in there for like ages. I'll put it like this. He's been there since I've been a kid.
Hmm.
He's been in there since I've been a kid, and he's always for whatever reason he always wins. Always like, dude, it's time for you to retire. Like bad. But even then, with Steve Carra, he's eyeballing Fred Umptesee. I'm like, dude, you're trailer trash in the dumps. Like, you suck. As a representative, you suck. And then this fool had the nerve to send me the Constitution of the United States as a mailer. I'm like, why are you sending me this for? Like, thank you. I appreciate the gesture, but really?
When they were infant. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's so sad. That's so crazy. Like it's but it is batshit insane how I'm guessing some of these senators are probably state senators. Um but it's just absolutely like batshit insane how like how old.
Mhm.
It's like it drives me insane and like people keep re-electing them.
Right.
And I guess because a lot of them do run unopposed or no one like tries to challenge them, but it's like
It's very hard to get someone out, an entrenched incumbent, especially out.
you've seen everyone again, she'll be in her 90s in office if re-elected. It's like, go retire. You're like a great grandma.
Right.
You know. It's not even like I it's not like I have a problem with like old people in office. Like we could also get like some new old people. Like there were I'd rather like old people who like went to like the first Woodstock. I want them in office. Like like I want like old folks that were actors, like the guy who played like Mr. Feeney, and Boy Meets World. I wouldn't mind him like running. It's just who has the time to write like retired folks who retire within a reasonable time frame, super wealthy elites, and yeah, that's true. That's true. But like running is also tiresome too. Like that's the hard part because it's a lot of foot traffic. It's a lot of knocking on doors. So these must be like old rich folk, or like they started when they were young and they just kept getting reelected until like they got really old.
Yeah.
But like if
But
you
it,
oh, go on.
yeah, I was gonna say, but it's doable. It's
It's true.
it's very doable. I mean, and again, just throwing this out there, you had our very own Erica who ran. Even though she lost, she made it work. And it's like for anybody, if you want it bad enough, go get it.
Hmm.
If you're willing to take that time and sacrifice, go get it. I mean, even now, like I still get the St. Joseph Democratic Party reaching out to me every now and then just to check up on, just to make sure, hey, how's it going and everything else. Like things suck, but I'm good. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
everything as of right now is going okay. I wish it could have been better, but oh well, live and you learn. So I say all of that to say that for the most part,
Misha's too much.
yeah,
Y'all are going in on this.
I love him though. I love him.
Mish is too
Misha's
much.
too. It's too
It's all
much,
about how bad.
man.
That's all I'm gonna say. It's all about how bad you want it. And even then, she ran a clean campaign, very clean campaign.
Like I felt bad for like some of the things like I would tweet. It's like what if somebody were to like bring up a weird tweet of mine and like try to connect it to Erica somehow? It's like, how are you friends with this person?
Oh god.
And it's like
Hmm.
like sometimes I feel bad. It's like I hope I didn't like do anything, but I don't think any. I feel like I would have heard that. But it is like yeah, she ran a clean campaign. She started like in 2021, like mad fucking early.
Hmm.
You know, like that was what I found to be the most surprising. Like when she lost was like because like she started so early.
Right.
Yeah, she seemed to have like a good amount of energy with different things. Like there was a lot of like really local, active people. Um, but the system is the system. And I think there's also low turnout. I think that was a big thing that plagued a lot of these. I mean, some primaries were different. I think California there was very low turnout from
Probably.
what I saw, but there was other states where there was good turnout. Like there was a black. She was a state representative in Pennsylvania, I think Pittsburgh area, and she won her primary, and she was like trying to be painted as some kind of far left insurgent. I mean, she is more left than the incumbent that she ran against, but like it, it's just that if you're outside the system, you always kind of have a hard time. I guess California got overshadowed. I mean, every district should be able to like you should have a chance in every district regardless of how big the state is. But I think just as a state, it got overshadowed because you had I don't even know what's going on this year. There was a governor election, but I'm not sure if that matters that much because Newsom is probably being reelected. There was some other districts that I guess were a little bit more focused on. I don't know what the exact turnout was like in her district or overall, but I do know. Like I looked at the percentage at one point when I was curious, and she came in third, I think. So there was another guy who actually was more, I guess, aligned with like the Bernie wing and like our revolution. I don't know if he was formally endorsed by them, but just I saw him on Nerds for Humanity. There was an interview that Tom had done, and which was pretty cool because he actually like basically tried to interview everyone from that same district that Erica was running in. And so that guy, I think his name was Shervin, something.
Brad Sherman.
Shervin, the incumbent, but this guy's name was Shervin Patel. I don't want to say Patel, that's too stereotypical. Shervin something. But he was like really, really pro like Medicare for all and all that stuff. So he came in second at like 6 something percent. So I don't know. I feel like it was just too difficult to chip away at Brad. Maybe that district is just more comfortable with like the kind of mainstream politics too. That's a big thing. And yeah, this is pretty big too.
No, I agree with Rocky a lot. Like, yeah, no, I think that whole like, especially like the presidency, like, oh, if you can have like a beer with them, it's like chances are I'm never gonna meet them. Like, I was like, I'm most likely not going to meet Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. I mean, like, there's a possibility, like, if I happened to be where like they're running, and like they're like, happen to just be in Iowa or something. I guess like it was possible to do that, but it's like as long as you do what I want you to do, as long as like you at least like inspire people to get behind you.
Yeah,
it's just like he's not popular, but there's just not a viable alternative right now. I forgot who I was talking to, but like, no, I don't think I was talking. I think it was a friggin' podcast. But it was like they were actually, I don't know, they don't say like they super like Newsom, but they just knew that like that whole recall was stupid. But like they're happy with Newsom. But I don't know. No one's perfect. Yeah, but I agree with you, Rocky. Like I don't care about the person. It's like just do your fucking job. And it's very disappointing about the Democrats because like I'm happy, like I'm glad that they're doing something because it's like you kind of fucking have to, but it's still scary to think that like we were just kind of unsure, like with Joe Biden putting in certain emergencies in place. I forget, I can't remember exactly what he did. I know like the FDA like Plan B pills essentially, like you could still get those. And I know that there was like certain other things in place that I can't remember. But it's just like okay, I understand with how we create these, how our government is set up. We can't really have like a crazy tyrannical president, like a dictator, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we almost did, and we can is the problem because of like who's in the Supreme Court. and like who is, bumping shoulders with who, who's like the fact that like how many Supreme Court justices were put in from like by a president who had like minority of the vote, like was it 4 or 5? It was a lot. And like it's just not fair because what I find crazy is that most of the country like doesn't want this. Like most of the country agrees on a lot of things. And then we just have like a couple of people in power who have so much fucking power and are just so disconnected with what the people want. And like they're just controlling everything and making like these laws or just like being like, oh well, we want to go back to like original constitution of like what the ghost of Thomas Jefferson meant when he when like they wrote this. And it's like, why the fuck are we doing this?
Mm.
It just makes no fucking sense. Like we need to be progressing as a country and we just keep regressing. And it's scary because we're probably just going to regress into, you know, something scary. Authoritarianism, fascism. Like we're pretty much halfway there. Like I don't know. Like it's sort of scary. It's sort of terrifying because of like what they're allowing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like especially with like the LGBTQ laws, in certain states, especially mine. It's like it's weird because it's like that's how it starts. Like they start to slowly pick away freedoms. They slowly start to pick away rights. And that's what's happening. And like they're trying to redistrict everything. Like the governor of my state just like redistrict the state, which is fucked up because that's like, I don't know, that's pretty much fascism. Like if you ever played the board game Secret Hitler, if you get like enough like fascist policies passed, there's like a point where you could essentially like pick your own chancellor because like when that shouldn't be the like the case. Like people should be able to like kind of vote on it, and then they were like, nope, you can just kind of pick your own chancellor now. And it's just it's scary. Like it's terrifying because like I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. Like this person who just won by less than 1% is just like, all right, I'm just gonna take total control. Like we already have a very Republican like state Congress, state Senate, state House of Representatives. And they're not even like good Republicans. Cause like there are some like Alaska, like other states. Like there are some red states that have like marijuana legalized, for example. And then like this governor is like he never wants to legalize it. So I don't know what kind of like that's just like one example of some bullshit. And it's like I don't know like what kind of fucking state he's trying to create, but everybody's calling it really free, like free Florida. And it's not going to be. But people are just too stupid and too brainwashed by propaganda and social media that they're just gonna walk right into it. It's scary. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. This policy based on organizing for your vote is the backdrop. So like that from the jump. That was the only way to get the Southern power brokers to agree with things, considering the population numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, what Chad said is something I was thinking of too. Like, you can have all these, whatever's, these opinions, these polls, but like the way this, I don't know, the legislation is structured or just sentiments are structured, like other things will trump than what, like something that should make sense. Most people want this. Even with like marijuana, you're at like 67%, some kind of all time high, but like you're not gonna have some kind of like poll that's conducted and then immediately you have a referendum that gets voted on. So other issues always get swept up. Other arguments and messaging is more effective, and so these things don't end up getting passed. um, because you're not necessarily voting for this rep based on weed legalization, like that. They kept passing it in the House, and you have a few breakaways, like surprisingly, like Matt Gaetz and some others. You get like 10 or 12 Republicans break away, but most of those will not, because even if it is popular in their district, that's not the thing. Um, that's the most important, and it's not like they're gonna like lose votes. Like, oh wow, I remember the time that you didn't vote for this marijuana legalization bill. Like, I don't know, it's hard, um, because of the structure of everything, and I don't know what the solution really is. Um, I mean, more ballot initiatives are definitely great. Courts that are reasonable, unlike Mississippi's court that struck down medical marijuana. I've never heard that. So I didn't even know that could happen. Um, I didn't even know that they also struck down the ballot initiative because they're like, oh, that's too much democracy. Um,
Yeah, no, like shit like that like happens and it's
Holy
crazy.
crap. Holy, like, what? Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
no, like some things, like some other bullshit that Florida did was when Florida voted to like give former felons their right to vote back, and then the governor, who was also elected that same, I guess, like election, if I'm not mistaken, was just like, no, no, we're not going to do that. Like they have to pay like their court fees, and then they'll be reinstated. Like then they'll get their civil rights back,
Mm.
civil liberties, like their right to vote back. And it's like, oh, so someone is just too poor, then they can't vote. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. It's a lot of questionable things.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we just voted for this, and you're like, oh, well, here's like another loophole. I'm like, we don't want too many people voting now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And like the whole thing with Florida, like I don't know if I know Mike Bloomberg spent a lot of money and some others were trying to spend money on getting felons like be able to basically pay that fee. I'm not sure if it really paid off, no pun intended, like if they were able to get that. Because I was like, yeah, I mean that was actually something that was interesting, like even in Iowa, a very Republican trending state as of recently. Republican governor decided to like expunge basically or like let people who were felons vote, um, which was pretty cool. And apparently there was a big push of Black Lives Matter with like Des Moines, um, Cedar Rapids, maybe some of the bigger cities in Iowa. I mean, not like there aren't black people elsewhere, but like um, I remember I heard there was like a pretty big push, and so it's like it's nice when you see things like that and you're trying to refranchise whatever enfranchise, I guess, people and give them their votes. But sometimes it can be a little depressing because it's like even when you do, I mean, not everyone will use that necessarily. But I mean, it's still the right thing to do to like give more people the access to vote and stop like people blocking the access, stop disenfranchisement.
Mm-hmm.
Money makes no structure. Wait, I didn't think I thought DeSantis did end up like going after Disney pretty hard.
Yeah, it's just like the shit won't really take effect until like 2023 anyway, if it actually like goes through. I think it's pretty like I don't know because if because Disney pays like or like it pays a lot of like the taxes in like the surrounding area of Orlando. Like I have friends who live in like the area where like if they don't like if Disney no longer like has like the powers that it does, then my friends will be like fronted the bill essentially. And but I know that that Disney one won't take effect until like 2023, which is it's such a fucking like if it does, you know, like it's such a fucking show, you know, just like it's just to show like, hey, I'm gonna do this thing, blah blah blah, and
Mhm.
it's like, A, you're not really doing it, and B, you're just showing out to your fans essentially. And honestly, like it that tactic works. That tactic works because it shows that he's actually trying to do stuff. Um, and like what he does actually takes effect and makes a difference, you know, like not a good difference, but a difference. You know, especially like with all those LGBTQ laws where like the don't say gay law. Like there are teachers and faculty who are, you know, like removing rainbows that aren't that may not even, you know, be tied to like the LGBTQ is just having like a cute rainbow on their like on their window and their door. It's like nope. And I have friends who work in like in the school system and there's like they know of kids who are clearly gay and they can't say anything, so they have like other like workaround words or so just to and yeah, no, like friends who are just like, yeah, they're gonna fire like I'd rather them fire me than before I out a kid. I'll never out a kid, like because if they out the kid, like that could be detrimental to their household, you know, because you don't know what kind of household the kid is living in. If they have like you know like a gay kid, and like they might be like super religious and super anti-gay or just anti-gay. So and sometimes like these teachers or like these faculty members are like their only source of like someone to talk to. Yeah, exactly. It's all for show, smoke and mirrors. It's the same with Trump. Yeah, I hope people will recognize that here in the state because we have an election this year, and it's just sad how like defeated I am. Like, I really hope that there are people who, because a lot of people also just voted for Biden or against Trump just because they were tired of the drama. They were tired of like all the bullshit. And I really hope that that's the case with my state too. Yeah, it's true. It's all a joke until it isn't. Apparently, like the whole Hail Hitler and like the Nazism was a joke at first, like until it wasn't. I agree. The two-party system in the U.S. is a joke. Unfortunately, it's all we have right now. Like, especially in my state, because our governor decided to, I think, like make ranked choice voting illegal, or he got rid of that. So if he were even trying to do that, now we can't.
Mm.
I don't know if it went through or if it's getting worked towards that, but yeah. So yeah, the two-party system is a joke, but I can't fucking do anything right now. So it's like real like I won't lie, like Yang doing the whole two party like doing the whole like third party thing felt like just like kind of like a punch in the gut almost. I understand that like you can be a Democrat and be part of the forward party. And I know that he like endorses Democrats and Republicans or what have you. I totally get that. It's not just like independence. Independence. But you know, like my state is in a lot of horse shit right now, and I really wish the rest of the country can kind of like help, you know. So for someone to just be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go third party," yeah, the two party system is bad. It's like, yeah, I know, but what the fuck am I gonna do? Like,
Mm.
and, like it feels like you're drowning, and then somebody has like a shitty boat. It's like, yeah, but you don't want this boat. This boat's shitty. It's like it's better than nothing. I don't want to be fucking drowning in the fucking ocean. So,
Right.
it's like I'll take my chances with the shitty boat.
I mean, at the end of the day, I can always cut it up and use it as a floating device.
Yeah, at least it's something I can use. Because right now, drowning in the ocean ain't it? Yeah, yeah. Like it's like, but this is like fucking crazy. Like it's fucking crazy because it's like, oh, you have to out them, or I forgot. Like, yeah, no, it's insane. But unfortunately, y'all, this stream has to come to an end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm so glad that you all were able to stop by. It was great to see, you know, a lot of these old faces. It was great to see some new faces as well. Yeah, as always, we stream every Tuesday night around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, give or take a couple of minutes. And, you know, as we always say, we wouldn't be here without you all. I understand that these are some tough times. These are some dark times. But as I said at the beginning of the stream, a form of protest is joy,
Yes.
is showing joy, is displaying joy, is giving joy. And so it's okay to feel sad. I feel sad often about this kind of shit.
Yeah.
However, you know, sometimes you definitely just need to focus on yourself. Sometimes you got to turn off the news. Sometimes you have to unplug a bit. I don't know, like go for a walk, meditate, talk to a friend, go grab coffee with, you know, brother or sister, favorite cousin. Take a bath. You know, take like just like a nice long soak. Not like a shower. Of course, you should be like showering every day, but like an actual like bath. Yeah, just you know, mindfulness. Yeah, just taking things when tell your loved ones that you love them.
Mm-hmm.
Tell your fuck friends that you'll fuck them. Yeah.
D, clip that.
Well, that's what I said. That one needs to be clipped, please.
Oh man. Oh, that was hilarious.
And on that note, also, I'm always in the streets, Chad. I know you were talking about protesting, but trust me, there are streets that that we can get into. Chad wasn't ready.
Yeah, no, it's the old comedian in me. Can't help it. What do they say? Like comedy is tragedy plus time.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get that from a Drake song? Sounds like that's fun. Yeah, that's true. It does sound like him. He would say something like that.
Yes, he will. That's funny.
Yeah, no. I haven't listened to Drake in a long ass time. I think he's come out with like 2 albums. I know he had like that pregnancy one, like those like 9 pregnant ladies or
Certified Lover Boy, yeah. I
yeah,
definitely
then
didn't
he had
listen to. I heard like some songs that just kept being really popular, like "Girls Love Girls" and some others,
Mhm.
but I couldn't tell you more than like I think he had a big one with 21 Savage. I couldn't tell you like anything else on that album. Um,
I don't
and then
know.
his most recent one was kind of like a house EDM.
Right.
I think there's some
Okay.
Jersey Club fusion.
Okay, so I wasn't so there was 2
Yeah,
albums.
the second one
Okay,
came out like last month, I think.
right, because it came out around the time of Beyonce's.
Yes, exactly. That's
Yeah.
why everyone was like, "Oh, there's all this positive dance music kind of going on."
Right.
Not everyone was a fan of Drake's, but I mean, he
Yeah.
got a different audience. Definitely got some international acclaim so far, from what I've seen, because of like the house culture is just so much bigger. I mean,
Right.
outside of like Detroit, and I know no, Detroit really spawned a lot of house and techno, but like abroad, you're gonna see much more Swiss, German, wherever. So people have like I don't know. He went for a different audience, and it seems like people like the music he put out, but that's a different conversation.
No, for sure, true. And as always, go come back next week with we got another awesome topic about infrastructure. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you all next week. We love you. And of course, we would not be here without you all you lovable people, you
Yeah.
amazing human beings. And the City Boy Drake. He's like from Simping Drake. I don't even like Sim. I just don't like Drake. And
Mm.
I gave him a genuine try. I gave him a genuine try.
Even his older like "Take
Hmm.
Care" music and or
Hmm.
what's the um Hold On, Coming Home. No, what's the name of the album? That with the
If
blue.
you're already hearing this, then it's too late or something.
No, that was the mixtape. I think. Yeah, later the blue face, like the blue head.
Oh,
It's like one
I
of the
don't,
biggest ones. I don't know why I can't think of the name of the album right now.
right.
Um,
What I liked about Simping Drake, and this will
Nothing was
be
the
my
same.
last thing. What I liked about Simping Drake though is that I think it kind of helped men get into like their feelings, but then like, which is good because men really needed to like get into and talk about their feelings. But I didn't feel like it was like in the best way though, because I feel like Drake would always just be like talking about women, like it's like I don't know, you need to pick better girls, dude. I don't know what to tell you. It's like it seemed like
Yeah.
it was just like a you thing. Like when I think back, I'm like, I think you wanted these women to be someone that they just weren't, and like sorry that they don't like they weren't appreciating your music and like trying to move on without you. It's like I don't know. Drake always took me as the guy who would like call his girlfriends crazy or his ex girlfriends crazy when he was the one making them crazy. Like he gives me that. So
Interesting.
but, yeah. But on that note, we're gonna have to run for reals, for reals. All right. Love you all. Hope you all have a great night.
Love you guys.
Yeah.
I love you all. Thank you.